What's up, guys? Today I am going to bring to you a video of the books that I want to read in 2016. Basically, this is a TBR video for the whole rest of 2016. I meant to make this earlier, like right when 2016 started, but I just didn't, so I'm doing it now, and it's like the last day of January, so this is not every single book that I want to read in 2016 video. These are just the books that I most definitely want to get to, like the ones that I most want to read. Not all the ones that I want to read, because obviously, one, that video would be way too long, and two, there would be too few books mentioned in this video, because I definitely want to read a lot in 2016, but these are just the ones that I want to read the most. I think there's 7 that I want to talk about. I'm not sure. I wrote them down somewhere. The first book that I'm going to talk about is Tempest, because this is way long overdue. This is the first in a trilogy of books about time travel, and the premise is about this boy named Jackson and his girlfriend Holly who travel back to 2007, and Holly, she gets fatally injured, and I think she maybe dies, and then Jackson is stuck in the year 2007. It sounds really good. It looks really good. I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I mean, I have the first 2 books in this already from Book Outlet because I got a free gift card a while back. So I don't know why I haven't read this yet. I've wanted to read this series for literal years. So yeah, this needs to be done in 2016. I literally had this in my 2015, beginning of 2015 video series I want to start in 2015, and that didn't happen. So this next one is more generally like an author, not so much a specific book. But next year I want to read more books by A.S. King. I mean, not that I didn't read any books by A.S. King last year, because I discovered A.S. King first with Please Ignore Verdites, and then I read 2 of her other books, and I have her book, Gloria O'Brien's History of the Future, and I also want to read her new book that came out in 2015, which is called I Crawl Through It. Both sound really interesting. Actually, all her books sound really interesting, and from what I've read, they're really good. She's such an amazing author. I definitely recommend reading her books. Next is Mind Games by Kiersten White. This is the first book in a duology series, and I've also wanted to read this for quite a while. I started it in 2015. I don't remember what month though, and I only got to page 95, which actually is almost halfway through the book, so I made some progress at least. This series is the story of 2 sisters, Annie and Fia, and Annie is blind, but she sees into the future, and Fia has an intuition that is always correct, and it's about how they are enrolled in the Keen School, which is for like gifted people, and it's just about their story and how the Keen School is sort of corrupted. I've sort of put this off because not a lot of people like this series, but I've still wanted to read it, and I stopped reading it because I was honestly just kind of bored with it. I just kind of started it out of nowhere, but I do want to at least finish it in 2016 and gauge if I want to read the second book to finish the series, or if I just want to leave it at the first one. Next is the final book in a series that I have not touched for nearly 2 years, and that is Ignite Me by Tahereh Mafi, the final book in the Shatter Me trilogy. And I have had this book for a while, probably a year. I don't even really know. Probably almost a year, and I still haven't read it. I read Unravel Me and the 2 novellas associated with this series all the way back in June of 2014. So it's been a while. I just really need to crack down and finally finish this series for good. Next is a book that was on my TBR in 2015 for months, and alas, it had gone unread, and that is My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Warga. I really have no idea as to why I haven't read this yet, because I want to read this so badly, but I just never got around to doing it, and I don't know why. I am hoping to read it by the end of this winter because this seems like a type of book you would read in the winter time since it deals with like suicide and depression and sort of topics like that, and like it'd be a little weird like being in the summer and like reading this. Like if I wanted to read it in the summer, I still would, but I just kind of want to read it in the winter months more. So next is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the first book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. I've read and loved the Throne of Glass series, even though it's still ongoing and it's the same author, so I don't really know why I haven't read this yet. Probably because I haven't really been in the mood, I guess. It's like an older young adult-ish kinda. I thought it was new adult at first, but it's actually young adult. But I still do want to try this out and see if I like it, if I want to continue this series. I feel like it's a little more romance based than Throne of Glass, but hopefully I will still like it since it's the same author, and I mean there's no harm in trying. And the final book that I'm going to talk about is Alive by Scott Sigler, and this was actually in my February TBR in my last video that was uploaded, so I'm not really going to give a synopsis on this. But I want to read this so badly. The first time I heard about this was in a Goodreads ARC giveaway, and I entered that giveaway like immediately after I read what it was about because I'm like, okay, that sounds really interesting. This is the first book in the Generations trilogy, and this is the only one that's out so far, so I'm not like behind or anything. But I definitely want to read this, hopefully in February, because it just looks so good. So that's it for this video. I will see you in my next video that I film, whenever that is, and goodbye!